I was asked to take a film crew around and spend the day with Tony Harris from Investigation Discovery. It's kind of cool. He's an Emmy Award winner, award-winning journalist, and so I got to spend the day with him. He's basically doing a piece on kind of folks that are anti-government, maybe even delving into kind of the hate in America or racism or anti-government, that type of thing, and so they were actually here doing a piece on the Burgert incident that happened up Highway 12 back in 2012.
Now, David Burgert, from what I understand, is still at large. Is that correct?
Still at large, yes, he is.
So what kind of things did you show him?
Well, they basically took some video of Burgert's vehicle. The day before my interview, they were actually up in Flathead County speaking with officials up there, people that back several years ago. I think that Burgert was involved with what they called something like Project 7.
Right, it was called Project 7, right.
Okay, and it was just targeting, I guess, officials within the community, judges, chiefs of police. I know that they were up there talking to former Kalispell Police Chief Frank Garner, and they just are basically trying to piece together this incident that happened with Burgert, and the fact that he's still at large, and so they took some video of his vehicle. We talked about the incident, kind of the days before that led up to the incident with David Burgert, the fact that Missoula County law enforcement had been receiving calls from the public regarding Burgert roughly a week and a half before the shooting incident occurred.
Now, he did take a couple of shots at some sheriff's deputies, right?
Yes, he did. He actually led... the deputies contacted him up at Fort Fizzle, and that day he was just called in as kind of a suspicious person. Somebody had said that they had seen this vehicle there at Fort Fizzle 3 days in a row, and it appeared that he was either camping or living there. When Deputy Newsom arrived on scene, at that time he was a training deputy. He was training another one of our deputies, and when they arrived, Burgert saw them driving in, and he, instead of waiting around, just kind of drove away and didn't even stop for the stop sign that was there at the highway. They attempted to stop him, and that's when he led them on a pursuit that ultimately ended up further up Highway 12 past the Lumberjack. Towards the end of the pursuit, Burgert drove his vehicle kind of off-road, got to high ground, and deputies couldn't follow in the Charger that they were in, so they continued to parallel. Once Burgert stopped, he got out of he got out of the driver's side of his vehicle and pointed a pistol at deputies and started firing. That's when they returned fire. So we just kind of went through that whole incident. Basically, I had some of my recollection. I was actually the patrol sergeant that was on duty that day. I was about 5 minutes behind, and so we just kind of went through what happened and the fact that Burgert went around his vehicle, tried to get to the rear passenger side where he had several long guns laying across the back seat of his vehicle. But deputies were converging on him and firing at him, and that's the only thing that stopped him from getting to those long guns and being able to... there were actually a couple of hunting rifles that he had, and he had some pretty serious firepower. He could have, if he was allowed to get to those, he the outcome could have been quite a bit different.
So then he took off and hasn't been seen since.
He has not been seen since. He dropped a magazine on the ground and a flashlight, and that was found near his vehicle. And no, he has not been seen since.
All right. So did the reporter ask you to speculate as to whether you think Mr. Burgert might still be alive, or is that something that you're not terribly concerned with at this point?
Well, we did talk about that. Matter of fact, he had his own speculations. Quite at the end, he kind of hit me up and just said, "Look, you know what? That day, the day of the incident, I was up on top of the mountain there, holding the scene. We were waiting for reinforcements to show up, and I did hear one gunshot, what I recognized to be from a pistol. It wasn't a rifle shot. It was a pistol shot. Now, who knows where it came from? I'm sorry, not. Who knows who it was from? I'm not saying it was from Burgert. I just know I heard one gunshot. And of course, he started talking about the fact that there have been several people who he quoted Frank Garner, the former Kalispell chief of police, as saying, "This is the longest that anyone, that law enforcement has gone without dealing with David Burgert since Burgert has been out of prison." And so it is kind of interesting. There's a lot of speculation. Some people say that he's being secreted at a compound somewhere in either northwest Montana or northern Idaho. Some people think he's dead. I didn't really go into speculation as much as Mr. Harris did, but we just kind of talked about different theories of why Burgert has never been found.